How are you all? The nation's been going through a lot over these last couple weeks, actually, the last couple months, starting with COVID. The anger between people in the country is unbelievable. However, I'd like us to understand this before we start to get into fixing the problems that we have. And we have plenty. We've had plenty since our creation, which does not detract from the fact that we are still the greatest country on earth. And it is the only country that people try to get into and don't try and die trying to get out of. But I want everybody to understand that, yes, there is institutional racism. There's no doubt about that. Sadly, we've had racism in human history since the beginning of time, and it comes in all shapes and all colors. It depends on where you're living. If you happen to be living in a majority white country, and you happen to not be that color, you're going to experience racism. If it goes the other way around, you'll probably experience racism also. We know that this has happened. We have the history of it. It certainly doesn't mean that we have to accept it. However, here is our problem. If we look at systemic racism in this nation, and we do not address the fact that there is a new slavery in this nation, a new slavery with new slave masters, and we are on new plantations. And these plantations started in the 60s with what was called the Great Society, where we were going to take care, the government was going to take care of the ills of everybody. That was the beginning of the new systemic racism, and that's where it has to be fixed. That's exactly where it started. The new slave masters, or the new slave masters who are keeping black people and brown people and poor white folk down. What is their new plantation? Their new plantation of the ghettos. How do they keep people there? With one of the most insidious forms of racism there is, and that's the racism of low expectations. So therefore, if I have low expectations for you, and you have low expectations for yourself, well then of course, the nice, good, benevolent leaders, the rich, powerful people, the political class, knows what's best for you, and they'll take care of you. And so they keep you down on that plantation. And they use an incredible whip to keep you down. They whip you with the power of programs, federal programs, state programs, so that you can't stand up. If you try to stand up on your own 2 feet and you try to take steps forward, you're going to be whipped down with the promise of more free stuff, more programs. We'll take care of you. You don't know what you need. We know what you need. That's the new systemic racism. That's what has to be addressed. But if we don't address that, we're not going to fix anything. That fact is real. Look at our educational system. There is more money per student given to the educational systems in the ghettos. And they are terrible educational systems. And yet, it is those areas that the fight to stop being able to use that money to send your students to charter schools or to private schools is the most intense and the most fierce. Those same schools where your new masters send their children, they don't want your children there. And they'll do everything in their power to make sure your children don't go there. Because if your children go there, then all of a sudden that low expectations, that insidious racism that they use against you will be no longer there. And as long as we don't understand that, as long as we don't start to fight that, then we will continue to have these new plantations, and we will continue to have fights between black, brown, and white people. And if you think about it, what is the best way to keep things going and keep that privileged liberal class up there? The ones who know best for you, the ones who want to say to you, hey, I'll take care of you. Don't you worry about it. Those nasty conservative people, they don't want to take care of you. They don't want to, they want you to be able to go to a private school. Well, that's no good. That's unfair. Okay? So we're going to have to do something about this. I have great expectations, and I taught for a number of years. I had great expectations for all my students, all of them. I have great expectations for every child in this country. And I promise that if you have these same great expectations for yourself, you'll find that the great society that you were promised was a lie and has done nothing more than put you on a plantation and keep you down. That these same people who keep telling you that they're here for you, that they're there doing things to take care of you, that those people are your new slave masters. They're the ones who are the racists. They're the ones who are trying to keep you down. Period. And another way they'll do that is to keep you angry at middle class white people and the vast majority of middle class white people are simply going about their lives. But as long as they can keep us fighting against each other instead of being allies, it keeps their power. It keeps their power. The educational system is being used against you, but not for their own children, just for your children, just for your expectations. And then let's look at the fact that 1 million children, over 1 million children of color have been murdered because the Great Society, these new masters who have put people on these new plantations, for what? For their own power, have convinced people that it's okay to murder an entire generations of children with abortion. They've convinced people that men do not have to be held responsible to take care of their children. They've convinced men and women that families and family structure and working together and helping each other is not important because they'll take care of you, because they know what's better for you. And so they've convinced generations that that's not important anymore. And by the way, if you get pregnant, so what? Go have an abortion. That's no big deal. Just go kill. Just go take care of that. And over 1 million children of color have died because of that. Because of that. I'm telling you, we have a new plantation. And all these rioters, or the vast majority of these rioters, were riding from out of those new plantations. And they were put in those new plantations by the very liberals who now don African attire to come and show how much they care about you. What they care about is themselves. And those are leaders of all colors. I want you to think, just think once. And I want you to look at the major cities where these incidences are happening, in the major cities where there are problems. And I want you to look at what the leaders have and what they have gained over their time in office compared to the people that they supposedly are there to support. And I think you'll see exactly how much the Great Society really cares about you. Thank you.